up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Happy New Year! Welcome to 2020, a year full of hope. And I'm so excited to be here with you guys. We have a packed show. And moving forward, we will only have packed shows because there will be no more late shows. We're going to be doing early shows only. On this show, we have Babano joining us in 6 short minutes. Right after that, 30 minutes after that, Teddy covers in the house. 30 minutes after that, Maxwell Smart will be joining us. And I'm happy to be back with you guys. I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's Eve, a nice close to 2019, and a great start to 2020. My first bet of 2020 cashed. It was a little 250 parlay on Alabama money line and Oregon +3. And December was not a good month, so it's nice to start out January in the black, where we belong. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. Anna Merrick, star of the Die Hard MMA podcast. DX Filer, Reese, Doug Barnhouse, Paul Costa, Rye Cape, Yenny Toon, Mark Unca for Mr. Gokester. AM in the house, AM plus money. Barbecue sauce city parlays are Liverpool money line, Swansea. What the hell is that? That is a cockroach. What the hell is that? Okay, sorry. That is gone. Barbecue sauce city parlays are Liverpool moneyline, Swansea moneyline, Liverpool moneyline, and Sevilla moneyline. That's from AM. Barbecue sauce titty play of the day. Let me copy and paste that and hope that bug doesn't return and hope I can forget about it. It was ugly. You know what? We're in Costa Rica. It's gonna happen. There's no winter to kill the bugs, so they take over at some point. Mr. Gokester, Ron Lofton, Shadow in the house. Great to see you, Shadow. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Phil 9. Phil 9 ready to get to work. I love Phil 9. I love Phil 9. Great to start 2020 with Phil 9 in my corner. Kevin Pine, Moses Saucedo, Drew Daddy, Ickschnizzle, Illwise. Illwise this morning, Jimmy made time to watch the whole show. Being busy, bro. Let's start it right. Carlos Peroche and his cheesy balls ready for 2020 serious business. The game 20 in that was Mitch Bruner, Ron Lofton, Ray Kimbrell, Von Polo, Big Ragu in the house. Man, when Big Ragu came over to the Oregon Ducks side, I knew we were in business. Ilya Katz, Astute Chaos. Let's get to work. We have a packed card, an absolutely packed card. So we need to work quickly. We need to get Babano ready to go. Let's holler at Babano. Let's get him ready. There's Kanaskat, my guy Kanaskat. It's a Canadian Aussie cat, you know, because he is a cool cat. I got to have drinks with my friend Kanaskat at the Score on King when I was back in Toronto, and he doesn't like the way, you know, Kanaskat, he doesn't come out the way he expected it to, but I love Kanaskat. He is my guy, and he's joining us on the show. Omega Kappa, Christopher Carter, Gerald Jones, Nate the Great, Dave Burke. We got Berkey in the house. Berkey, fresh off a giant New Year's Eve show. Your hood's a joke. And that was that's the through line of the show that Berkey's a part of, and a money show. I hope it was great for you. I saw it was a packed house for you guys, Berkey. Great to have you back in the chat. Nasty Nate says thanks for the parlay, Jim. It was a nice way to start the year, and it cashed pretty easy. Pretty easy soon. Okay, it wasn't that easy, but you know, a win's a win. We could have just taken Oregon money line in Alabama to cover and would have paid more, but whatever. Plus 149 a win's a win. Top set in the house. G-Sauce. It's my 40th birthday. G-Sauce. I am 40 as well. G-Sauce's 40th birthday. What a guy. OG low bagger. G-Sauce. Happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday. May it be a great year. A great year. I'm 40 myself. All right. Christopher Carter ready to go, so let's get after it right now. And Christopher Carter's got a Bruins Cincy Bearcats money line. I'm interested in the Bruins. You know, interested. Their defense is getting a little stronger. They're getting over some of the injuries. They're getting Krug back, which helps a great deal. We're going to get into that game shortly. Why don't we get to work right now? And Nate the Great, like in Bruins. The issue I have is sometimes teams just come together, and the Jackets have throughout all these injuries, and Merzlikins is playing very, very good. And Bruins getting a defenseman back. I'm probably going to stay off. There's Josh CTK in the house. Mr. Ghost says Bruins look ripe. I don't think I'll be making a move on the Bruins. Rafa, my man, can we pop up the NHL record? Because it's horrifying. We're in negative units for the first time, I believe, all year. I believe this is the first time all year. And that plus 190 on the Senators' first period, I guess I was reaching. I did a terrible job last month fading the Penguins, and I'm fading them again today. I've already locked in 3 bets from last night. 2 of the moves made sense getting in on getting the early line. 1 has gone away from me. Al Hart saying Indiana Hoosiers lock it in. Bumpolo says, did you take Stars minus 1.5? I did not. And there's Ill Wise on Columbus puck line. They're just playing good hockey, and I'm just hesitant. And not only hesitant, I'm not going to take a giant favorite in this type of situation with them getting Krug back. But let's get into this game right now. Bavano will be joining us shortly. Jackets, Bruins, Merzlikins, Tuukka Rask, Jackets. Jackets are playing good hockey. Their power play's improving, even with Atkinson out of the lineup. Now they have Texier out of the lineup. They're dealing with a lot of injuries, but you watch Werenski put up a hat trick as a defenseman, and Elvis is playing well and playing better, and now he knows he's the guy. It's difficult for a goalie when they don't know if they're going to be playing once a week, once every 2 weeks. Now he knows he's in the lineup every single day. There's one for the money. Deerslayer Ski in the house. Okay, let's keep rolling right now. Coming off a 3-2 shootout loss at Jersey on Tuesday night, these Bruins 8-game point streak with 4 losses after regulation. Getting Krug back, McAvoy still out. Jackets haven't lost in regulation in 11 straight. They're playing clean hockey. I was had a dream that maybe there would be a 6 on the board for us to go under, but it's a 5.5, and I'm still hesitant to go under these 5.5s right now. I am not making a move. Why don't we go to the best odds page on the planet, sportsbookreview.com, SBR odds page, and see what they're offering us in this Bruins spot. Open at minus 225 all the way down to minus 197. There's been a 28-cent move towards the Jackets. This total was originally over 5.5, minus 108. It's now under 5.5, minus 117. I get it. I still am hesitant to get under it. Gate Pasky says, Jackets will get hammered tonight. Don't overthink this one. Bruins puck line. Neil Weiss says, Jackets played good hockey. I've been watching their games quite closely. They showed me that they want to win every game since they played the Capitals. They have. Mr. Gokster on the Boston team total over, which I imagine is a 2.5. And Yellow Jesus in the house. Blessing all of our picks. Great to see you, Yellow Jesus. Triple Beam Dreams in the house as well. Absolutely love it. Love it. So let's bring in our guy, Babano. We've only gone through 1 of 12 games. We have to work very quickly as we don't have Babano for as long as we'd like. Babano, my man, Happy New Year to you. Happy 2020. How are you doing this morning, my friend?
Jimmy, good to be with you. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year, low baggers. Should all acquaintance be forgot? Yeah, it's a new year, new money, new hopes, new dreams, and hopefully new profits starting today when we break down this board.
Yeah, I've got off to a winning start, just under 375. Picked up profit last night on a little NCAA football parlay. So, and it wasn't very good for me in December. So I'm excited to start this month on a winning streak. Shadows had just cracked 30 units in NHL yesterday. Took Dallas puck line, thought it was a loser, and quit watching in the second period. Yes, they came out firing late in that game, and the Predators are just not delivering the goods. Shadow crushing NHL. Arjun Rummy crushing NHL. Babano, am negative units for the first time all season, 0.89 units. But I've already locked in a few plays. Did you make a move on Jackets Bruins?
I did, and if you watch the SBR NHL Play of the Day video I do 3 days a week earlier on the channel this morning, you'll see I'm on Boston puck line here, minus 1.5, plus 130. Columbus has done yeoman's work with all the injuries. I mean, it's not just Tessier and Atkinson. It's Oliver Bjorkstrand. It's Josh Anderson. These are big-time, impactful forwards at both ends of the ice in some cases that the Jackets have still been able to keep their head above water and play well without them. But I think they're walking into a potential trouble spot tonight. Boston was not impressed, not amused one bit blowing a third period lead against New Jersey. That was a livid dressing room following that loss on Tuesday. They felt, we're the Boston Bruins. We know what it's like to protect leads. We're supposed to be able to win games when we're up 2 goals in the third period. That did not happen against New Jersey. And Merzlikins finally got his first start of the year. It's a monkey. It's a piano off the back. It's whatever analogy you want to use. And definitely he played better. There's no question. But let's see him do it on the road now. Let's see him do it against a Boston team that I think brings something to the table tonight. A Boston team, as you mentioned, likely getting Torrey Krug back in the lineup. The Jackets have done well, but to me, this is not a team that can sustain this kind of play with all the injuries they've got. They've got a mad Boston team to deal with tonight. Bruins, Bruins have had slow starts in nearly every game the last few weeks. The last couple, they've started fast and then finished not so good, but earlier in the season, starting fast was a problem for them. There's one game that they should start fast in. It's tonight after the way they coughed up that lead against New Jersey. So I'm not sold on Merzlikins, especially on the road. I mean, Merzlikins has been lit up at times in some of his road starts. I think this could be a rough night for him. Give me Boston here on the puck line. I think it's a great situation.
I find when the rhythm of a defensive core changes, the volatility increases. And we watch the Avalanche get Makar and Johnson back and go on a big losing streak. I just feel... to me, McAvoy's the best defenseman on this team. He's out. They get Krug back, which they need as their power play's been slipping. But I'm just going to stay off. Now, I get it. I get why you would back the Bruins here. I am staying off it. NHL Parlay Bagger, no, we have the Audible today. Today at 4 p.m. Eastern with the Whale Capper and Donnie Rightside. There's no lead nose. Says New Year's same mission. Make unders great. But Bono, Bruins -1.5 at +130. I'm going to be staying off that spot. Let's move on to Oilers. Sabres. Sabres open up at -126. They're now -125. This total is at 6. Basically a pick 'em. Some of the books have the under at -115. Ullmark has taken the reins. Carter Hutton's looked very bad lately. Linus Ullmark, 909 save percentage, 2.90 goals against average. Koskinen should be in the other net. We're expecting Koskinen to be in the other net, but he's not been that good of late. 2.85 goals against average. He's allowed 9 goals in his last 2 contests, and Mike Smith's been awful. 0-3-1 with a 4.53 goals against average. So we're expecting, even though he stepped back, Koskinen to be in net. The Sabres, 73.8% penalty killing, could get lit up by this Oilers 30.2% power play. Sabres have lost 4 straight. They're in a 1-6-1 rut. They were up 4-1 at home to the Lightning in the second period before allowing 5 straight goals. They've allowed 28 goals over their last 7. They've beaten the Oilers 5 of their last 7. Oilers won 7-5 at home over the Rangers on Tuesday night. They nearly blew a 6-0 lead. They're 5-10-1 since November 24th. Let's get after it, Babano. Oilers, Sabres. You got to move on this?
No. This is probably a game I'm staying far away from. Certainly from a buff. I guess Oilers if I had to. But, Edmonton going on the road, they've been inconsistent. I don't like the way either of their goaltenders has played lately. And again, we're seeing the same issues with Edmonton. If Draisaitl, McDavid are getting shut down, secondary offense has been hard to come by. Other than the Ranger game, obviously they exploded that night. But even then, you get out to that huge lead and you nearly blow the game. That game got to 6-5 the other night after the Oilers got out to that huge lead and nearly coughed it up. So this is not exactly exuding a ton of confidence Oilers team right now, but Buffalo's unbackable to me. They're struggling. Other than Jack Eichel, this team offensively has really struggled. The defensive game has totally fallen apart. The goaltending, Ullmark struggled lately. And remember, Carter Hutton was red hot in October. He's anything but right now. He's on like a 7 or 8 start losing streak. He's got a goals against average above 4 during that time. So maybe lean over. But again, Buffalo prior to Tampa the other night, they hadn't really been scoring goals in bunches. But probably over the total if I had to, but I don't love this game.
The over the total is becoming more and more appealing to me. It opened at +100. There's been a 4-cent move at Pinnacle towards the over. You can still get a plus line on this. You can get +105 at BetOnline. The more we talked about it, the more the over sounded appealing. Sabres finally started scoring goals last game, and then the Oilers' 30.2% power play is going to eat against the Sabres penalty killing. Both goalies haven't been great of late. Why don't we make
Jack
a move?
Eichel to score a goal. I will be betting that again. I got to throw that out there. I've been just on that repeatedly. That's for sure something that'll be in pocket.
I'm going to make a move on this over. Joshua Gray coming in, liking the Knuckleheads. They've been on a bit of a streak. Both the Knuckleheads and the Blackhawks have been on a streak. Mr. Gokster says Clefbaum out for the Oilers. That will help. That will hurt. And over. If you're looking for outlet passes, he's great at it, but he's also strong defensively. I'm going to make a move on this over. I'm surprised I'm getting a +105 at BetOnline, and I'm going to go ahead and take it. I'm going to go ahead and take it. Oilers, Sabres, that's my first addition on the card. Now let's go to a spot where I beat the line move. I made this bet last night. Let's see what I'd get right now. I'm on the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Montreal Canadiens. I got in at minus 131. The best you could get right now is minus 143. I took it on the minus 1 line, so I got a plus 182 on the puck line, minus 131 on the money line. Right now, the best I get is minus 143. I bet it at minus 135 on the money line and plus 175 on the puck line. It's now at minus 150 at bet 365. Let's quickly see what the puck line is here with the Lightning, and the best I could get is plus 173. So beat both of those moves and feel good about that. I want to fade the Habs without Brendan Gallagher. He's the straw that stirs the drink and easily one of my favorite players in the NHL. You know, a lot of these Habs are playing over their head. I don't think, Domi on a 6-game goal-scoring streak, I think he's a great player. So I'm not saying that he's playing over his head, although he's playing very well. But Thomas Tatar is playing well right now. 7 goals, 11 assists, 7 goals and 11 points in his last 11 games. But as these Canadians take on injuries, I've always felt that they were kind of easy to play against. They don't have a lot of size, and they're just getting easier. And Carey Price is going to have to stand on his head. The Lightning have won 4 in a row. They've won 12 straight against the Atlantic Division. They won 5-4 at home over Montreal on Saturday night. I think this is an easier Montreal team than they played on Saturday night because there's no Gallagher. Hedman playing well. Killorn playing well. I'm on the Lightning minus 1 here. Are you making a move on Habs Lightning, Babano?
It's a tricky game, and I know my partner in crime actually went like the other side in that game, Montreal, on the NHL Play of the Day video. But, it's tough for me to back Montreal right now. They are getting a decent price, but they're banged up beyond belief. You mentioned Brendan Gallagher now, the latest one out, although his is day-to-day. It's not long-term. But, you mentioned heart and soul guy. When you need a big goal, you need a big play, you need a big shift in the offensive zone to change momentum of a game, usually it's Brendan Gallagher and his line that gives you that. And so without that, that's a big loss. Just the heartbeat of the team, you could say Brendan Gallagher's a big part of that for Montreal. They're already without, Paul Byron, who's an underrated forward. We know Drouin's been out for a while. And Joel Armia, this guy is an underrated absence for the Canadians as well. Two-way forward. He's been huge for their penalty kill. He's even chipped in offensively quite a bit for them. That's been a big loss. So they're banged up front. Their defensive play that they got back to for a little while has eroded again. They're back to giving up goals in bunches. They're back to people complaining that Carey Price doesn't look like Carey Price again. So there's all kinds of issues with Montreal. The one thing that concerns me with this spot is it's a short turnaround divisional revenge spot, and we've seen a lot of these scheduling spots in the NHL this year. There's a lot of games where divisional opponents are playing each other twice within a week. And a lot of times I'm seeing the team that lost that first meeting bounce back less than a week later and win the next one. So I think it's a spot advantage, scheduling advantage for Montreal, but they're not playing good. They're injury riddled. Tampa Bay looks like they're getting their game going. It wasn't pretty against Buffalo. They had a bad start. They addressed it after the game, but they didn't, fold the tent. They didn't give up on the game. They didn't say, well, you know what? It's not our night. Let's get them the next game. No, they put their head down. They battled back. They came back and beat the Sabres the other night. That's a positive mentality type of development for a Lightning team that was struggling mentally, struggling with confidence the early part of the season, and struggling to string wins together, which they're finally starting to do. So to me, I can make cases for both sides, so I'm passing on this one.
I can't make a case for the Habs. I don't care that they lost 5-4 on Saturday night. You mentioned Byron and Armia. Byron is so underrated. Now they lose Gallagher, who's their best forward. I'm excited about fading them. And in fact, I find Lightning, and I got plus 122 on the minus 1 is my favorite play on the card. Don't like going up against your partner in crime, but we'll be doing it here. Gate Pasky says Lightning are starting to pull it together, and Carey Price put aside his passes. A mediocre goalie at best. Habs and Price time is up. Our guy Ryan Kozlowski saying, Jimmy, do you do a 50-50 split on your minus 1 plays? No, that would not be a minus 1. That's not how the calculations work out. So no, I don't. I use the calculator that was given to us from our guy, lowbagger Ron Crawford. Here it is right here, and I'm putting it in the chat for anyone whose books don't give them the minus 1 and want to create them on their own. There it is right there. There's Be Smooth in the house. Ixnizzle, not only did I listen to that song that you sent me on Twitter, I retweeted it. Schnitzel, I got you, man. There's our guy, Prince of the City, in the house. I love Lightning -1. And I know that they've looked susceptible defensively. And Vasilevsky has gone from like a 928 save percentage down to a 906 this year. But I think they're going to take care of business. Viral video with a question for Max. I'm going to copy and paste that right now. Let's move on to the next spot on the card. Devils, Islanders. And I do not want to get in the way of the Islanders, but I almost did. And decided that it just doesn't make sense. They're just such a well-coached hockey team. Let's see what's going on here in New Jersey. Islanders opening up at -207. A 4-cent move towards them. They're now -211. This total is at 5.5. Blackwood is playing very, very well right now. Going up against, they had Varlamov listed. I'm not sure if it'll be Varlamov or Grice. Maybe you have more information on that. But Bono. Devils, power plays improving, penalty killings improving. Nazardine is doing a nice job. Islanders 20.0% power play, 80.9% penalty killing. Devils 5-2-1 over their last 8, coming off that shootout victory over the Bruins on Tuesday. Blackwood 5-3 with a .920 save percentage in December. That was a big New Year's Eve win for the Islanders over the Capitals. And I thought, is this possible? Letdown spot. They've now won 2 in a row after losing 3 straight. They're 13-2-3 in 1-goal games. And the Islanders swept the season series last year. They're 11-4-0 in their past 15 games against the Devils. Devils, Islanders, Babano, is there a move to be made?
Not for me. It's you could say letdown for both teams. I mean, the Islanders were a big win against Washington on New Year's Eve afternoon, and New Jersey with the big comeback win in the third period against Boston on New Year's Eve afternoon. So which team's going to react better to that? I just don't really bet against the Islanders much, and I'm pretty sure I read that they're 10 of the last 11 home games against the Devils, they've won. So they've absolutely dominated hosting the Devils in the past. New Jersey's competing, though. For a team that's absolutely god-awful most of the season, you're still seeing them battle. They're playing a little bit better, marginally better the last few weeks. Defensively, Blackwood's probably playing the best stretch of hockey he's had all season. So they are playing. I think they're trying to pay a little bit more attention to being a little bit better, at least defensively. It's still not a great defensive team, but they're trying at least under Len Nasreddine to do a better job with the goals against, and it's leading them to be pretty competitive in these spots. So, I think it's a tricky game. I'm not going against the Islanders here, but I'm not going to lay a price or look puck line either, so I'm staying off it.
I get it. Absolutely get why this is sort of a stay-off spot. Let's keep rolling right along, and we move into the San Jose Sharks. And look, they're playing terrible hockey, and maybe they don't get out of it. We talked about the firing of DeBoer not making sense. It was not on him. They're coming off a 2-0 loss to Detroit. They're on the road. They're together. I expect better things from them. The Penguins sitting here, and I know Yari's playing so well, but here we go with this Penguins team that's now lost Gensel as well. So they're going to put Galchenyuk up on that line, the perennial underachiever Galchenyuk. Look, Penguins were 10-2-0 in December. They're part of the reason why I have a negative record. Sully deserves Coach of the Year. Malkin's been spectacular, as he always is when Crosby goes down. Crosby, we don't know when he's going to come back, but I saw a plus 165, plus 166 at Heritage. I bet at plus 165, and I was like, how do I not take a shot with these San Jose Sharks? How do I not do it? I have to do it. I knew that Jin Rummy would be telling me that there was value on it. I don't know if he's in the chat right now or if he thought so last night. Right now, the best you can get is plus 160. Pinnacle, there's been a 12-cent move towards the Sharks at Pinnacle. I just had to take a shot here with this Sharks team that's 2-9-2 in December. They've scored 2 or fewer goals in 5 of their past 6. And I do not know how the Penguins are going to create any offense if it doesn't come from Letang or Malkin. I'm on the San Jose Sharks, plus 160, and I came close to taking them on the -1 line and decided that I was getting enough here. I'm on the Sharks. Do you think this is a bad move? Are you making a move on Sharks Penguins?
All right, so a few years ago, the New England Patriots were a team that I thought for many, many times there'd be great spots, great prices, great situations to go against them. And I think every single time I went against them, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, back-to-back NFL seasons, I lost. And I said, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. The Pittsburgh Penguins are the New England Patriots for me right now. You know how many times I've said, oh, this team's too banged up. This team's too injury-riddled. They can't win this game. This is not a good spot for them. Oh, they just lost another guy. They're going to have a tough time winning this game. I think I've bet against Pittsburgh 7 times this year, and most of it was October and November and early December. And I think I lost all 7. This is a team that has found ways to patch together a lineup, patch together a roster, go out there, don't make excuses, get guys from the AHL stepping up, Blandisi, Lafferty, Zach Aston Reese, Bluger, you go on down the list. Look at all these guys that have made impact for the Pittsburgh Penguins and find ways to win. So I'm not doing it. I'm not going against Pittsburgh. I've had no luck fading the Penguins with injuries. I'm not going to start now, and I'm especially not going to start now with this San Jose team. That's a dumpster fire. That's a poorly constructed roster. They're right up against the cap. It's a slow, plodding, miserable defense. That defense can't skate. Brendan Dillon's a turnstile. He's an absolute pylon out there. Carlson and Burns are as overrated defensively as it gets. I don't care about the nice shot from the point. I don't care about the ability to rush the puck. You can't defend in front of the net. Burns, his defensive game is shot. Carlson, forget it. He's never been a good defensive defenseman. They have no forward depth compared to where they were last year. Where the hell's Logan Couture been? He's a shell of the leader that Joe Pavelski was. And never mind the goaltending, which I've railed on for years. Jones and Farmer and the Dell. I don't trust either one of those guys. So you can have San Jose, Jimmy. I don't want him. I'm not laying it with Pittsburgh either. I get it. The Gensel absence. If there's one absence that finally you would think maybe this is the absence that finally breaks the back for Pittsburgh, you would think it's Gensel. But I've been here too many times with this Pittsburgh team in terms of betting against them, thinking, oh, it's another injury. They can't sustain it. They can't survive it. And all they do is survive it and win. I'm out of betting against Pittsburgh. I wish you luck, though, Jimmy, but not for me.
I understand. I completely understand. And I'm going to keep firing at these Pens right now. This total opened up at 6.5. Those that went under, I think, are in a great spot, although Aaron Dell's in net for the Sharks. I'm not going to take it at 6, but I think those who went under are a great spot. We only have 10 more minutes. Babano, we got to work fast. I'm on the Panthers -1 here, and this move had gone against me. Let's see if it has continued to go against me here very quickly. And no. Okay, good. Money's back on Florida. Okay, good. Wow, what a swing, because this was down to -125. It's back to -137. It's -138. What did I get it at? I got the Panthers at -131 and the puck line at +185. Look, the Panthers lost that first game of the 4-game road trip in Columbus. And look, I keep saying look. It sounds like the Senators are 11-5-2 at home. So just like the Pens, they're handling and just DJ Smith talking about Coach of the Year candidates. DeMello and Hainsey still out. Zaitsev may return tonight. I just feel like the Panthers should be able to beat this team, can beat this team, and I'm going to make a move. Mr. Gokster's on the over in this spot. Are you making a move on Panthers Senators?
Yeah, Panthers and over. Mr. Gokster, very nice. I like the overs. I've been riding overs with Ottawa with the injuries on defense. I talk about it. Cluster injuries on the blue line for any NHL team, and especially a team that doesn't have the adequate quality depth to replace those guys, they become over teams. They become over bets for me from a game-in, game-out standpoint. And that's what I've been doing with Ottawa and you can tell. Their defensive game has completely fallen off. They got shelled by this undermanned Pittsburgh team the other night. New Jersey got 4 goals against them over the weekend. And that's just a couple of examples of Ottawa just giving up goals in bunches lately. Their goaltending, I know they did get Craig Anderson back, but Anderson, Nilsson, Hogeberg, it hasn't mattered. The defense in front of them is patchwork right now, and they're struggling to keep the puck out of their net. Got Florida off the 4-1 loss to Columbus. Not Bobrovsky's best game. And everybody was talking going into that game, oh, Florida's really going to want to win this one for Bobrovsky, his return to Columbus. You didn't think Columbus wanted to beat Florida too? Bobrovsky's saying adios, arrivederci, Columbus. I don't want to stay here. I want to go to the warm weather. I want to go to the bigger money. And he left the Jackets high and dry. You don't think some of those Jackets players wanted to beat Bobrovsky's ass the other night? And sure enough, they did with that 4-1 win. So it was a good win for Columbus. Florida obviously falls short, but I think it's a bounce back. Ottawa's been plucky. Ottawa's been feisty. The effort's been incredible for DJ Smith's team. And at home, they've been really good. So I'm a little leery in this spot of going against Ottawa. But I like Florida in this situation. Prior to the Columbus loss, they were playing pretty good hockey. Their offense was on fire prior to that game. A banged-up Ottawa defense. They should be able to find the back of the net. So I laid it with Florida, also over 6.5.
I like the overlook. You and Gokster on the same side. That makes a lot of sense. Let's keep rolling it fast. We have Leafs, Jets. I almost pulled the trigger on the Jets at home. Almost. Coming off 7-4 win at Colorado on Tuesday. They were 2-5-1 their previous 8 before that. Leafs are just keep on winning. 4-1 winners in Minnesota on Tuesday. 7-0-1 their past 8 games. 13 of 18 with Sheldon Keefe. And I don't want to get in the way of the Leafs, but I do not like taking road favorites here, and this is what we're dealing with. Toronto opening up at -127, now -134. This total's at 6.5. Are you making a move on Leafs Jets?
There's another one over the total for me. I know Toronto finally played some good defense the other night against Minnesota, but if you watch that game, the Wild were stuck in mud. I don't know. They were flat. They just didn't have anything going. I thought it was one of the worst performances from Minnesota in quite some time. And Toronto, to give Toronto credit, it was a better defensive game. They were closing off time and space for the Wild that entire game. And Anderson, of course, was his usual solid self. But now you're playing Winnipeg, who's really starting to fire away offensively. They're starting to score goals again, which they should be. They should be able to score goals, Winnipeg, with Scheifele and Wheeler and Kyle Connor, who's on absolute fire right now. By the way, I have Kyle Connor to score a goal prop tonight. That's a slam dunk. You got to bet that right now. Kyle Connor is on an absolute tear for the Winnipeg Jets right now. That's a good prop bet from a goal-scoring standpoint, in my opinion, here in this game. Let's see if Toronto can defend this team right now, on the road. A little bit more of a prolific offensive team, certainly, than Minnesota. I think they're still going to have their struggles. But this Leafs team, in terms of their own offensive game, it's on fire. Winnipeg's penalty kill has struggled. Their defensive play, Paul Maurice has done an admirable job to keep this young blue line together, keep them, playing solid hockey, but that defense is starting to fracture a bit. They're giving up a lot of goals lately. Penalty kills dipped. That's a problem against Toronto when you've got Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander, all of the big guns for Toronto. They're producing right now, and they're all producing and scoring offensively at the same time. And when that happens, Toronto's a very difficult team to beat, and that's why they've gone on this great run. Their top players are playing like their top players simultaneously at the same time. That's why the Leafs are playing great and winning games right now. So I think they'll score. I think Winnipeg will find the back of the net, because Toronto's going to have to show me a second straight good defensive game before I buy into them turning it around at that end of the ice. They're still without Jake Muzzin, their best shutdown defenseman with the broken foot injury, and I think that's going to impact them. Let's not forget they got into some 8-6, 6-5 games, 5-4 games recently before the Minnesota game, a bunch of them one after the other. It's just I think there's too much skill, too much talent, too much suspect defense on these two teams, and there's going to be too much pace in this game to expect this game to stay under the total. I think it gets to 7 or more, so I played it over.
Makes a lot of sense. I've not made a move on this, and I hesitate always with the 6.5s to go over them. But I get it. Makes sense. Let's move on to Rangers Flames. Let's be very quick unless we're going to make a move on them, because I do want to touch on all these games with you. Flames open up at -170, now -175. His total is at 6.5. I don't like the Rangers with Lunk, with King Henrik in net. And the Flames deserve no trust or faith right now. Rangers lost 7-5 at Edmonton on Tuesday night. They showed heart after trailing 6-0. They've won 3 of 5, even despite that loss. Flames were down 4 goals by the Blackhawks. They showed some heart and some fight. They've lost 2 straight, 2 wins in their last 8, and they've lost 5 straight at home. And they're -175 favorites. Do they turn it around here? Babana, are you making a move on Rangers Flames?
Rangers are such a bad defensive team, but David Quinn ripped the defensive effort after the Edmonton loss. They fell behind. They did gallantly recover. I had this game circled as an overplay, but Quinn was pretty hard on the team's lack of defense the other night, so maybe they show it tonight. I'd lean Rangers, but not going to get involved in this game.
Ducks, Coyotes, I don't know whether to trust Ranta, and that just keeps me so hesitant to back the Coyotes here. Not only that, they're 9-10-1 at home, Babano. They're not playing well at home. Ducks lost 5-2 at Vegas on Tuesday. We've seen teams leaving Vegas struggle. Are the Coyotes low-hanging fruit that I'm afraid to make a move on? They open at -177. They're now -164. 13-cent move towards the Ducks. This total opened up at 5.5. It's down to 5. It's down to 5. Ducks, Coyotes, is there a move to be made here?
Yeah, Arizona in regulation. I don't love it. It's not anywhere close to one of my favorite plays on this card, but I did bet Arizona in regulation. I got -125 on it. Decent price. I mean, this, in theory, is an opponent and a team you should beat. I know they've been up and down, Arizona, and you're right, they've been better on the road than at home. And I usually prefer to back Arizona on the road. That road dog roll, Jimmy, for the Arizona Coyotes this year has been excellent. The home favorite roll, not so much. But, they did beat St. Louis the other night. It was a good win of beating a red-hot Blues team. Maybe it gives Arizona a little more confidence and swagger going into this game. And again, it is an Anaheim team they should be able to beat. So I took Arizona, but I took them in regulation, which I got at -125.
Yeah, I still haven't hedged my futures bet on the Hurricanes to win the division with the Knights, and I should do that as soon as possible. Robert Allen in the house. We got Nilo. My guy Nilo says, listening in the doctor's office, waiting for my doctor to be seen. Dedicated. Much love to our guy Nilo, man. I got to party with him back in Toronto, and it was a great, great treat. Okay, next up, Blues Avalanche. Binnington Grubauer Avalanche. Their first struggles of the season. They've lost 6 consecutive games to the Blues as well. Avalanche have lost 5 of their last 6 overall. They've allowed 20 goals in their last 4. McCarr and Johnson have come back and not helped. McKinnon -8 in 14 December games. He's coming back to earth. And the Blues had an 8-game winning streak snapped by the Coyotes' 3-1 road loss on Tuesday night. Blues have won 12 of 16. They're just playing really good hockey. And Binnington, they're getting great goaltending. I've not made a move here. Are you making a move? Colorado opening up at -133 now, -135. Babano, St. Louis, Colorado.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about Colorado in this spot because this is one of those spots I like to bet against. A team that had a great winning streak, finally had the winning streak snapped like St. Louis did the other night, and then maybe they start to, the roses off the bloom, and now a little bit of a lull and a little bit of a skid happens. I could totally see that for the Blues. Look, the Blues are a great team. There's no doubt they're a force and a contender in the West to win the Cup, but they're not going to keep winning at the clip that they were. They're just not. And I think you could see a little bit. I think there's going to be some money to be made betting against St. Louis in the days and weeks to come. Maybe tonight. Colorado off that shoddy game defensively against Winnipeg, 7-4. I know they've been owned by St. Louis head-to-head. I think there's a good situation for Colorado at home off a bad home loss. A team that should bring focus. They know they've struggled against St. Louis. I just think St. Louis now, after having the win streak snap, I could see a little downturn here for the Blues, including tonight. So I'm leaning Colorado hard. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but if I'm betting it, I'm looking at the Avs.
I get it. I'm not going to. Blues are a dangerous team, but maybe this is sort of a Colorado in no play. 2 games left on this card. We got to be very quickly, hammer quickly. Blackhawks, Canucks. I saw this total go from 6.5 down to 6. I don't know if it's going to be Markstrom or Demko, and I know that Demko's playing very well right now, but the Blackhawks are scoring. Canucks have won 5 straight. When I saw this move from 6.5 down to 6, I thought, man, should I try to get over this total? Are you making a move on Blackhawks, Canucks?
I lean over, but I'm always trepidatious with Leonard in net. If it's Leonard, we'll have to wait and see on that. Leonard's been awesome lately. He really, really has. You mentioned though Chicago has been scoring, no question. I mean, the Chicago offense, remember, they put 5 past the Islanders, last week at home. That's not an easy feat to accomplish, lighting up the Islander defense, but Chicago was able to do that. And they've still got a bunch of guys that can score. I mean, on this team, Kane and DeBrincat and Kubalik has stepped up lately for them. I mean, there's a bunch of guys for Chicago that are producing offensively in good form. I'm just waiting to see who Chicago goes with in net, but from a totals perspective, I would be with you in this one. It's over or nothing.
And then we have Flyers, Knights, Carter Hart, 9-11 save percentage, 2.41 goals against average. Both teams' penalty killing and power play are strong. Vegas looks like they're getting on the roll. They do this every December. Will this continue into January? Coming off 5-2 win Tuesday afternoon. Ducks, the win over the Ducks made them 9-4-2 in December. They just turn it on every year during this time. The Flyers, I just never know what I'm going to get, and now they're in Vegas, which is not an easy place to play, even though Knights are 12-7-3 at home. Flyers, Vegas, Babano. Vegas opening up at -160, a 5-cent move towards them, they're -165 now. This total was juiced to the under. It's now a pick 'em at 6. Flyers, Knights. Babano, you making a move?
You know what? I mentioned this before the LA game for the Flyers the other night. You're playing on New Year's Eve. You've got a trip to Vegas. You're spending New Year's Eve night in Vegas, ringing in the new year. We don't give 2 shits about the LA King game written all over it. And sure enough, the Flyers play awful. They get bombed. What were they down 3-0 in the first period of that game? You can see the writing on the wall. They're looking forward to getting to Vegas for New Year's Eve night. They played a horrible game against the LA Kings. So you worry that Philly's a little more focused now, bounce back. But I'm not stepping in front of Vegas. Vegas is playing really, really, really well. I don't love the price at all, so it's a pass for me.
Yeah, same with me. Babano, we have to make moves. That was a very tough 12-game card we just got through. We don't have time to hear any breakdowns from you moving because we got to move on. But are you making a move in NCAA basketball or in any of these bowl games today?
2 plays in NCAA hoops, 2 road dogs in NCAA hoops. Took the Billikens +3.5 against Duquesne. Duquesne's strength of schedule is brutal. I mean, brutal in terms of how weak it is. Duquesne played nobody, all right? And St. Louis plays defense. The Billikens have been good at that end of the court. They actually have covered in the road dog role. They played Auburn pretty competitively earlier this season. I just think St. Louis has the chance to be the better of those two teams in the Atlantic 10 as the conference season begins and as it progresses. I think getting 3.5 points with St. Louis is a good look there. And I took a chance with the Illini tonight, plus 10 at Michigan State. Actually, I got 11. It's down to 10. I still like it enough at 10. I know Cassius Winston missed the last game. He's probable to return tonight for Tom Izzo and the Spartans. But, you bring the point guard back. Does it disrupt some chemistry? And it's not like Michigan State played horrible without Winston. They drilled teams. And Illinois has been competitive. Remember, they went to Maryland. They should have won that game, Illinois. They had a big lead. They blew it. They lost by 1. But Illinois has shown the ability to hang tough in some of these spots against quality competition. I think they hang tough tonight at East Lansing in the Breslin Center. So I like Illinois plus 10. The bowl game, the only bowl game I bet today was Tennessee-Indiana over 52.5. It's up to 55 now. I like it, though. Guarantano can move the ball. I know the Tennessee offense wasn't good down the stretch, but Indiana's defense, you take out games against UConn, Rutgers, Eastern Illinois, and Northwestern, in every other football game this year, the Indiana Hoosiers defense gave up 24 points or more. So other than the 4 bottom-tier offenses they played, this defense couldn't stop anybody. I think Tennessee scores. On the flip side, I love that Hoosiers offense. I think the extra bowl practices will get Peyton Ramsey and that Hoosiers team to move the ball against Tennessee. They play with a little bit of pace and tempo as well. I totally agree with the total going up in that game. I didn't bet it from a side perspective, but I do agree with the total move up. I think we see points in the Gator Bowl, Vols and Hoosiers.
I absolutely love it. There he is, Babano. Follow this man on Twitter at Babano. He's on Tennessee, Indiana over in college football. In college basketball, St. Louis plus 3.5, Illinois plus 11, but it's at 10 right now. He got it at 11. He's got player props tonight. Player props on Jack Eichel to score a goal and Kyle Connor to score a goal. His play of the day.
Max Domi as well.
And Max Domi.
I'm going to bet him.
I like it. Max Domi goes in 6th grade. And he's also Bruins play of the day. Check out the play of the day video 3 days a week from our Babano. Babano, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Happy New Year. Happy 2020 and much love to you.
You too, Jimmy and Low Baggers. Happy New Year. Let's make some money in 2020. Thanks, guys.
Much love, Babano. We go right from Babano to our Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, Happy New Year, my friend. 2020. How has your 2020 started?
It was great. I had a wrong side winner yesterday. I'll take it any day of the week. And that was the only thing I had was Oregon, plus the points against Wisconsin. So far, 2020 has been fan-frickin-tastic, my friend. How about you?
It's been great. I put a parlay together with Alabama money line and Oregon plus 3. So I was smiling last night. It was my only bet to start the new year. We have so much to fire at you, so get prepared just to be fired nonstop because we don't have as much time as we'd like. As you guys know, watching at home, we are no longer doing late shows with Betting with the Bag, just morning shows. We got to pack everything in. Teddy, I need help with this NBA card. We need to start going over it. I have not made any moves on the NBA card so far. Have you made any moves on this NBA card?
So I haven't made a bet. That being said, there are still, at this stage of the game, I don't usually have as many plays that I'm considering as I do now. I'm interested in 4 plays, and there's a total as well. So really 5, but the one line's moved against me. So I have some opinions, but I haven't bet any of them yet.
Perfect. Let's get after it.
Talk about it.
Perfect. Hornets, Cavs. We're going to start there. Total open up at 210, up to 213. Cavs open up at minus 2.5, now minus 1.5. Hornets 6-12 on the road, not playing good basketball. Their pace is 30th in the league. There's a couple teams who are running very slowly right now in the Hornets and the Kings, and their coaches are saying speed it up. Whether the Hornets can do that or not, we will see. They're coming off a 109-92 loss at home to the Celtics on New Year's Eve. PJ gave them 15. They had 6 players in double figures, but PJ led the way. Cavs have won 4 of their past 6 despite that bad loss in Toronto on New Year's Eve. Cavs won 5 games in December, 3 in November. Thompson and Kevin Love are playing well. Sexton not shooting the ball well. Cleveland beat the Hornets 198 on December 18th. Rozier went for 35 in that game. Hornets, Cavs. Is there a move to make here?
If I was going to do anything, I have a slight lean towards the under. As you mentioned, you talk about 2 teams whose pace isn't what and Cleveland doesn't want to let anyone run against them. Bayline does not want to play a fast pace. So with the Cavs having a little uptick right now, at least prior to their last game, maybe we consider an under in this ball game. From a side standpoint, the Cavs have been favored 3 times this year. They've lost all 3 of those games in straight up fashion. Charlotte I mean, this is a one-trick pony offensively. If they're not hitting jump shots, they're not winning games. And, the lack of any kind of interior presence and interior scoring for Charlotte of late has really cost them. And it worries me here against the Cavs who, play pretty good low post defense. So I don't want the favorite. I don't want the dog. I lean under, but it's nothing that I came close to pulling the trigger on.
I get it. And Rod Zawacki says this game deserves 0 action. Okay, let's move on to Denver, Indiana. Indiana opening up at -1.5. Where they stand now, this total opened up at 210. It's now down to 209. Pacers 15-3 at home. We just got report from the chat that Malcolm Brogdon is not going to be in the lineup for the Pacers. That was just in from the chat. Nuggets passed 5 games, pace 19th. Pacers passed 5 games, 21st. Denver coming off an embarrassing loss. Man, when Gary Harris is not in the lineup, is it ever noticeable? They tried to bring in Torrey Craig, whom I've liked defensively, but he fouls out in 21 minutes, just trying to do too much. I expect him to have a better game now. They have Porter Jr. as well, who can come in. He put up 7 points, 11 minutes off the bench. They got Millsap back. He did not look very good, 13 points and 9 boards. Pacers coming off 115-97 win over Philly on Tuesday night, and Brogdon lasted just 1 half due to a back injury. So he's gone from a hamstring injury to a back injury. Warren and Sabonis playing very well right now. Sabonis 5th in the league in rebounding. Nuggets, Pacers, you making a move here?
No, I mean, I've been a Pacers believer all year. Okay, so I'm not surprised at all by what's going on. All that said, I'm not playing Indiana without Brogdon. And with Brogdon, I mean, that is an impact injury that I think is bigger than the markets give credit for. And with Denver, you better know if Gary Harris, you talk about do they miss him when he's not in the lineup or not? You better know if he's playing tonight, if you get involved with the Nuggets game side and total. Because Harris brings it on the D. I mean, he's their, the perimeter defense, one of their perimeter defensive stoppers. But when he's not on the floor, it's obvious. It's apparent. So I don't know if he's going to play. Indiana's not a team I have any interest in stepping in front of. And yet, without Brogdon, they're not a team I'm interested in laying points with against a quality foe. So too many questions here. Easy one for me to leave alone.
Speaking of questions, we've had one fired at you right now with these Warriors. We got to be quick. We have so much to get over. But Greg Matson says, Teddy, what can you make of this Warriors team playing great lately for a team with little to play for besides pride and experience? Future predictions for the Warriors in 2020?
When Draymond Green gets mad and Golden State gets motivated, you can bet on the Warriors with impunity. When Draymond Green is not mentally focused and in tune with what's going on, the Warriors will be an easy fade and you play them over the total. One guy as Golden State's intensity depends on right now. That's Draymond Green. And whenever I'm looking at our local papers, all I want to see is what Draymond Green's saying about this next game. So that's my take on Golden State in general. As for tonight's game in Minnesota, and I know I'm not going to lay with the T-Wolves, but I mean, the under's the one that made a ton of sense. But this total's been steamed to high heaven. That was 219. Now it's 213.5. And of course it has. Minnesota, without Towns, without Wiggins, has been an under machine. What do they cash? One over in their last 8 games, I think. Few and far between. And that over came in an overtime game against a Nets team that's not playing a whole lot of defense. So, Minnesota under makes a ton of sense to me right now. Golden State under doesn't make quite as much sense necessarily, and yet they too have been trending under significantly of late. And I say 4 of their last 6, but one of them went over in overtime. So it's really 5 of their last 6 in regulation. The only game that they didn't stay under was the game against Dallas, where the defense wasn't there at all. And that's a threat with any Warriors game. The defense isn't there, they're going to get blown out. Lean under here, but the market's already beat me to it.
And the Wolves coming off almost beating Milwaukee at Milwaukee with nobody on Wednesday. Unbelievable. They did that without Vonleh, without Teague, without Layman, without Trevian Graham, as well as Towns and Wiggins. Wiggins may be back tonight. Torrey Coker says Minnesota gets the cover tonight. That is Warriors, Timberwolves. Let's keep rolling right down. And this is the big game for me. And Jim Remy saying not sure it makes sense anymore at 214. Raptors, Heat, big game. Heat opened up at -6. Now they're 5.5. This total opened up at 215. Now we see 214. Heat 15-1 at home. Raptors 9-6 on the road. Both teams pace slowing. Raptors pace last 5 27th. Heat 23rd. Heat beat the Raptors in the only time we saw them this season when the Raptors were undefeated at home and the Heat came in and dominated that overtime period, and it was Butler that dominated that overtime period. He went for a triple-double in that game. Still no Gasol, no Siakam, no Powell, but coming off 117-97 win at home over the Cavaliers, Heat should be motivated. That was an ugly 123-105 loss at Washington on Monday, allowing 42 points second quarter. Raptors, Heat, Teddy, you got to move here?
If I'm playing, I'm laying. I only want Miami off of losses. I think they have one ATS loss coming off a loss this season. They're bet on in every way, shape, or form coming off defeat. And that was a pure no-show against the Wizards. They were 11-point chalk. They lost the game by 18. And they know it. The comments were, they weren't pleased with their level of effort. And I know that the Miami right now really doesn't have the type of betting bandwagon they had even a couple of weeks ago. They haven't covered any of their last 4 contests. So if you've been laying with the Heat, you haven't been making money, and that takes the steam off a team and gives you impetus to back them for sure in this one. And look, Toronto without the 3 starters, we saw initially they played pretty well. We've seen them step up in various games against lesser foes. I do not trust a Raptors team missing 3 starters and 3 important starters, not that there aren't, but, against good teams moving forward. I don't. So Miami or pass for me. I don't want the dog in this one.
On Friday night in Toronto, I went 3-3 in NHL, hit all my totals, lost my -1s. I had Heat as my last play on the card as 4-point favorites against the Pacers, and they won by a point at home. I'm hesitant to take them here, but I feel like it's the right move to make. By the way, that on Monday, that under with the Magic was too easy, but late, around 5, maybe after a drink or two, I took the Bulls at +9 to cancel out that win. Rafa, we didn't put up the record at the beginning of the year, so I wish I should be right at close at the double-digit units, but instead we're at +8.99 because I added the Bulls late. I almost doubled up on the Bulls first half full game, and the first half did cash. Raptors, Heat. I'm thinking of making a move on the Heat, but they just don't seem to be covering these types of spreads. We've done Warriors, Timberwolves. Now let's move on to Jazz, Bulls. A lot of guys talking about it on the chat. Reese saying Jazz -3.5 all day. They seem like a different team with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench. Their bench has been terrible all year. Now he's averaging 16 points on 47.4% shooting since he's joined the club. Jazz coming off 104-81 home win at Detroit on Monday. The Bulls' last game was disappointing. They looked very bad in the second half. I turned it off, but Markkanen playing better. And Tori Coker saying Toronto will cover and might win. He will go on the losing streak now. Watch and see, says Tori Coker. Would love to see what Dan Kelly's on. Reese is on Jazz -3.5. Is that the move to make here against the Bulls, Teddy?
I mean, Utah right now is a ride or fade team. Ride or pass team. I mean, what have they covered? 5 in a row? And we've seen it. We've seen them that almost the same thing happened last year right around this time, where the switch got flipped for Utah. They played a lot of mediocre basketball the first 2 months of the season. You can point the finger towards Clarkson. He's certainly been good. He's not the only guy who's been good for Utah. Their defense has been great. And that's a problem, in my opinion, for a Bulls team that does not react well to opponents playing good defense. Their last 3 wins, Hawks, Pistons, Wizards, those are the type of teams that the Bulls are going to beat. Blown off the floor by the Bucks. I'm not convinced anything's different tonight. It'd be Utah or pass for me. But for what it's worth, Utah is the most quote-unquote public play in the NBA tonight as short road favorites. So it's not the public favorites don't kill you necessarily on a nightly basis in the NBA like they do in the NFL every week. But I try to avoid the public road chalk, and Utah is definitely that this evening.
Makes a ton of sense there. Let's move on to Brooklyn, Dallas. Dallas opening up at -8.5, now down to -8. This total opened at 220.5. It's up to 222 at Pinnacle. These Nets 7-10 on the road. Dinwiddie averaging 31.5 points over his last 6 games. He scored 36 points last time he faced these Timberwolves. Nets blew a 5-point lead in the final 2:06 Monday, then got outscored 19-12 in overtime at Minnesota, and that was a desperately needed win by Minnesota. Dallas, though, Porzingis could be out of the lineup again. Tim Hardaway Jr. sat out with a strained hamstring. He could be out of the lineup again. Nets have lost 3 straight, and they're not scoring points right now. They're not hitting their shots. They're 3-6 over their last 9. Nets, Mavericks, is there a move to make here?
So this is probably the one that I've come closest to making a move on. I may well bet Brooklyn before this day is through. Read the Kenny Atkinson quotes. You want to see a pissed off coach? After they lost that game to Minnesota, that 3rd straight game. This is a Brooklyn spot, okay? And I know they're stepping up in class, and I know they've got Dallas off a loss, and I'm not necessarily in a giant rush to bet against the Mavs coming off a game where they didn't play particularly well, especially down the stretch against OKC, and that comes on the heels of their loss to the Lakers. So it's back-to-back losses, 3 and 5 for Dallas. But the Nets may be looking forward to LeVert. He's supposed to come back. He was in practice yesterday. He could come back shortly, and you worry about them looking forward a little bit. But from a spot standpoint, this one screams, Brooklyn's coming tonight. And if that may or may not be enough against a team like Dallas off back-to-back losses, but I'm confident the Nets bring their effort. And in the NBA, if you're just betting on the team is bringing effort every night, you're likely to make money. Nets on the short list.
I think the Nets. I think we need to pull the trigger on the Nets here. I don't know if these 8 stick around, and if Porzingis wasn't even on the injury report when he didn't play. He was not on 2 pregame injury reports, but when he sat for the first time since November 9th, feeling pain in pregame warmups. You have to think that's a red flag, and they're going to want to give him as much rest as possible, and no Hardaway, which means, it'll be the Luka show. The Illwise says Teddy covers Brooklyn is the play. I'll go to the window with you. Robert Allen says Nets are a great bet. David Stewart says Nets aren't looking good at all, and that's why you're getting +8 against a team without KP or Hardaway Jr. I agree here. I'm going to make the move on the +8. I'm going to line shop right now. While I'm doing that, let's talk Thunder Spurs. Thunder Spurs, Oklahoma City opening up as 2-point dogs. That's where they stand right now. Spurs beat the Warriors 117-113. 5 overtime games this year. They've won 4 of them, all at home. They found a way to get the job done, but hard to trust them. DeMar DeRozan, 24. DeJounte Murray stepped up in overtime. He's got to step up for the full 48 minutes. He's the key to this team succeeding. The Thunder continue to play good basketball, and they got Gallinari and Schroeder back last game. They each put up 20. Gallinari missed 4 games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to play well, and Oklahoma won that game despite hitting 6 of 27 threes. This is a good basketball team. Thunder Spurs, are you making a move here, Teddy?
Well, that's just it. It's like, who's the undervalued commodity in this matchup? All right, it ain't San Antonio. All right. The Spurs haven't made anybody money at any point this season. They had a little run where they cover 3 in a row, 5 out of 6, in fact, prior to the non-covering win against the Warriors in their last outing. And they've won some games of late. They had that big shooting effort against Memphis, another one against Detroit. They have their moments. But you ask me right now which of these 2 teams is offering continued value. That team's OKC. Under the radar. Not getting the TV games. No one's paying attention. What do they want? 7 of the last 8? Covered 5 of their last 6, covering in all kinds of different roles. Dogs, favorites, shorter dogs, bigger dogs. I like the feel of this Thunder team right now. I was hoping to catch an extra point or 2 here. At 2, I don't know that I get there, but it's OKC or pass for me. San Antonio's not. We keep on saying, the Spurs will get there. I'm not convinced of that. Thunder or pass? Thunder
or pass. Yeah, I'm going to stay off that game at this point. I do think that idea, I'm going to take a look at it. I think that's a great idea about Viper MB backing the Dinwiddie points over as well until he cools off. I'm going to take a closer look at that. Let's move on to Grizzlies, Kings. Kings. The Kings opening up as 4-point favorites. That's where they stand now. A lot of talk about speeding up the pace. Walton imploring his team to speed up the pace. Last 5, they're 28th in the NBA. And the Grizzlies 6-9 on the road, coming off an 8-8 month. The Kings have lost 8 straight games after Tuesday's loss, 105-87 to the Clippers on Tuesday night. They lost their previous 3 games by combined 8 points. They were out-rebounded and just they turn off. Rashawn Holmes is 22-10, but is he the answer? Although he's been playing fine. I shouldn't be hammering on him. Bagley already being ruled out. Grizzlies, Kings, move to make here?
So we don't have a lot of rules when it comes to sports betting. One rule that I really try to adhere to is do not try to catch the falling knife. You know, this team's dropping. They're dropping like a rock. All right, now's the spot. No. Now's the spot. No. I'm going to wait till Sacramento wins a game or two before I'm backing the Kings. All right. And considering you talked about Memphis, they played 500 ball. This is a team that's being priced like a bottom 5 team in the NBA, and they played 500 ball for the last month. Luke Walton, you talk about him imploring his team. I remember him imploring the Lakers a lot, too. They didn't listen all that much either. There are coaches I like better than Luke Walton. I'll just leave it at that. So it's a situation where it's Grizzlies or pass for this better. I don't know if I really want Memphis off the win. You know, Memphis has not been good off a win this year. They have struggled to put back-to-backs together. And at the same time, you know, they're staying competitive on the road against better teams than Sacramento. So I know it wouldn't be Kings for me. It'd be Memphis or pass, but more likely pass than Memphis.
Robert Allen liking Memphis. Cash action bets on Memphis and Illwise just made Memphis plus 4.5 a max bet. Next up, Pistons Clippers, final game on the card. Great, because we got lots to hammer still with Teddy. Pistons Clippers. Let's see what the best odds page on the planet is telling us here at sportsbookreview.com. Clippers open up as 12.5 point favorites. That's where they stand. This total opened up at 223. Now it's at 225. Clippers coming off that easy 105-87 win over the Kings on Tuesday, but that was without Beverly, who sprained his wrist against the Jazz, and Lou Williams, who's out for personal reasons, and we don't know if he will be in the lineup. Harkless, Walton Jr., and Zubac looking good. Detroit destroyed on these 2 games to start their road trip. They started by losing 136-109 by the Spurs. Then they lose 104-81 to the Jazz on Monday. They're just terrible right now. No Markieff Morris with a foot injury. No Luke Kennard with a knee injury. Man, and Dan Kelly posted earlier in the chat, first half Kings -2. Kings first half -2. Interesting look, Dan Kelly. Thank you for mentioning that. Pistons Clippers. Are you seeing an angle here, Teddy?
The only angle I'm seeing is how to fade Detroit. Okay. Blake Griffin, he's not going to play. He's overshooting stuff over at Comedy Central, right? On his way to L.A. The chemistry in Detroit's bad right now. I don't think anybody likes Blake Griffin on that team. And when you start hearing about some of the reports of what happened with the Clippers that are coming out now, I don't know that anyone liked them in L.A. either. Pistons last, and they're 2-8 their last 10. Every one of those 8 losses has come by double digits. They're letting go of the rope every night. You know, we saw it in Utah. We saw it in San Antonio. I want no part of the Pistons right now. Another falling knife team. I'm not a big fan of laying 12.5 in the NBA. I don't do it a whole lot. If I get involved with games like this, it tends to be first half plays rather than full game plays. I don't know that there's the urgency here for the Clips to make a first half play. So one I'm going to leave alone. But I know this. If I had to play the game, I'd lay it before I took it. Detroit is not a team I want my money on right now.
David Stewart says Clips cover. Robert Allen says Clips win big. Illwise says Clips breeze through. The only move I've made right now is on the Nets +8. I have interest on the Heat, and I have interest in a Dinwiddie prop. I will be watching Jamming with J Money at 1 p.m. Eastern to see if I've got any plays to add. Okay, Teddy covers. Quickly, we have NCAA Bowl action tonight. Let's move over to this action. Move over to spreads and totals here. Cincinnati opening up at -6.5, now -7.5 across the board, although there's native Bovada. This total opened at 54.5. It's dropped to 53.5 or 53 Bovada, 52.5 at Heritage. Boston College, Cincinnati. Is there an angle or a move to make here?
Yeah, and you talked about that SBR odds page. Again, you should have that literally open all day, every day. There's no reason not to. And this way, when it moves from 6.5 to 7, you'll see it. You're like, hey, guess what? This line's moving. I better make my bet right now. Or it's moving from 7 to 7.5. You'll see it. Maybe the more important of the two. I know I don't want the dog. Okay, I want no part of Boston College. BC is not a team that can rally back from behind. All the stuff I'm reading about BC, it's not just Dylan sitting. It's not just the QB injuries that they've had. I'm not getting the sense that BC's bringing their A game today. I'm just not. It's a coaching staff that's gone through the coaching turnover so far in bowl season, and sometimes you get the sense, this team might catch lightning in a bottle. I haven't gotten that sense from BC at all, and they're playing against a really good defensive Bearcats team. So if they fall behind and have to throw the football, I don't know what they're going to do. So I can understand all the money for Cincy, but if you're trying to bet the Bearcats now at 7.5 or 8, when there were 6.5s and 7 out there for weeks, that's how you lose betting on sports. Okay, you cannot win long term if you're taking the worst of the number like that. And it was available and available and available. And if you missed it, you missed it. You say, all right, I'll find another game. You can't realistically look yourself in the mirror. And again, 2020, I hope in terms of all the things that you could have made resolutions for, the number one resolution that every one of you guys out there needs to have for 2020 is track every bet. Every bet. Track it. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. You'll see. If you track it, you'll see what happens when you're laying 7.5 when you should be laying 6.5 or 7. You don't win with those bets. And as long as you're tracking and you track it over a period of time, you'll see how that works. So I encourage you, keep that odds page open. SBR odds open all day. Track your results, and then you don't get stuck playing games like Cincinnati minus 7.5. They're probably the right side, but I won't lay it. That hook matters.
Makes sense, and it's important to hear, very important to hear. The Tennessee-Indiana spot, we talked about this total going up. Pinnacle opened it at 48.5. It's at 54.5. That's 6 points it's gone up. Tennessee opening up at minus 1.5 now. 3s across the board, but Pinnacle leading the way at 3.5. Tennessee-Indiana, Babano already got on the over at 52. Is there a move to make here?
There's, of the remaining bowl games, there's 2 moves I'm making, and this one of them's not in this game. I don't trust the Hoosiers' defense to stop any decent opposing offense. I really don't. All that said, I trust Indiana's offense to move the football against even quality defenses. So I can understand all the move on the over in this ball game. If you're down at 52, great. If you're down at 50, great. You start talking about 55s right now. You can't be, again, you can do it. It's not a way to win at sports long term, missing it. So I can understand the move towards the over. Indiana's been a dead nuts over team, especially in a point spread range like this. And what they go over? They went over 5 of their last 6 overall. And the only one they didn't was the game that Northwestern didn't have a quarterback and didn't score against them. Tennessee impressed me down the stretch. They really did. And you're talking about a team with a little bit of a betting bandwagon. They covered 6 of their last 7. But I don't have a strong sense that I want to lay, ask Tennessee to win this game by more than a field goal. I just don't. It feels like a competitive game. I don't have a strong read on it, and I'm not getting involved.
All right. A lot of people asking what Teddy's going to be on in NFL. We will find that out tomorrow. You'll have to join us tomorrow, and to find out what Whale Capper, Donnie Rightside, and I are on, join us today at 4 p.m. Eastern, but we don't have time to get into NFL. We're having Maxwell Smart will be joining us right now to break down NCAA basketball coverage. Are you, Teddy, making any moves on this NCAA basketball card?
I made a couple of moves tonight. I bet against a big line, but the money poured in on UCLA this morning. I went to bed last night. It was 10. I opened up this morning with 7.5, and I laid 7.5 with the Washington Huskies against the UCLA Bruins. I'm not convinced the UCLA's offense is going to work against that Huskies D. And it's a Bruins team. They need to get their points in the paint. They've been terrible shooting 3-pointers all year. Well, you ain't getting any points in the paint against that Huskies defense. I think I'm baffled by the line move. I faded it. I went the other way and laid with Washington. I also laid with Murray State. And that's a game that stood from a defensive standpoint. That really stood out to me. You look at the numbers for Tennessee Martin. Their defensive numbers aren't just bad. they can't stop anything. They can't stop in the paint. They can't stop 3-point shots. They can't stop turning the ball over. They're giving up points in transitions, and Murray State's capable of running teams out of the gym against bad defensive foes. I think, Tennessee Martin is not going to step up in class well here. And that's another one where a little bit of money came for the dog in that one. I think 12.5. I thought that was cheap with Murray State. So that's 2 plays that I made in NCAA hoops tonight.
Murray State being backed as well. Washington Huskies -7.5. I'm looking forward to watch that game tonight. That will help us lead our way into Maxwell Smart breaking down this NCAA basketball card. Teddy Covers, thank you so much. Our first show with Teddy Covers in 2020. Happy New Year, Teddy. Follow this man on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. Teddy, much love to you, my friend. May this year be filled with fabulous riches for all of us. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
I'll take fabulous riches. I appreciate that, Jimmy. All the best. And really, 2019 wasn't a bad year. Let's see if 2020 is a little better. Cheers, guys. Good luck today.
Love it. There he is, Teddy Covers. We go right from Teddy Covers to Maxwell Smart. Rafa, my man. Can we roll the intro for our guy, Maxwell Smart?
It wasn't until 2018 that the diamond in the rough went from hooligan to king of the world.
The guy couldn't play for shit, dog. He was awful. But can he cap? Guess he can.
Max, my friend, a giant card, and we don't have enough time to break down all the games, although we are salivating over this giant card. Max, my man, how are you doing on this Thursday morning?
I'm doing good, Jim. I'm actually paying a little bit of attention to this UTEP game. Jumped on the live under at 146.5. It's going to be a busy day of college basketball. We got about, I think, 73 or 74 games today. So almost half Division I's playing. And it's going to be real exciting because it's the first day of conference season for a lot of these teams. A couple of these conferences have already gotten started. And I'm hoping that I can finish plus even on the day.
I love it. There we have a quick live under 146.5 right now in the UTEP Florida International game. We have a game popping off very soon. Let's just touch on some of these games. Stephen F. Austin, Southeastern Louisiana. Are you making a move on this? Stephen F. Austin opened at 10.5, now 11 or 11.5.
Yeah, Jim. I got 2 official betting with the bag plays on this game, and both of them are Stephen F. Austin. I took them at 10.5, and I took them at 11. This is a spot where I think that Stephen F. Austin is going to be able to flex their muscle. Southeast Louisiana has problems with turnovers, free throws, and consistent scoring. I think today, in this match, in this game, at this time, situationally, and by my numbers, it's a good spot to get on. I think that Stephen F. Austin can win this game by 15 to 17 points.
Did you make this an official play?
Yes, I made both of them official play.
Okay, and that's on your Twitter. Sorry. Dan, here we go quickly. Dan Walsh saying, what's Max's record? Over the Christmas holidays or in New Year, right there, just at the very end, I fell a little bit behind on Max's record. As you guys know, there's a heavy quantity of action. It will be all caught up. And you will have everything very, very shortly. So I apologize. I can't give that to you right now, Dan Walsh. All right, let's go over to Max's official betting with the bag plays. There it is. Stephen F. Austin, double up right there. Stephen F. Austin, double up at minus 10.5 and at minus 11. Official betting with the bag plays. There we go. And there's not a ton of them. Okay, perfect. Let me grab them all right here and get them ready to go. Max, of the other afternoon games, were there any moves that you made moves on?
Yeah, Jim, I made moves on a lot of games. Let's just list me off them because obviously there's 73 games. I know that the Bryant St. Francis game, that's on the NEC front row, I think at 2 o'clock. That's a game where I'm on St. Francis, Pennsylvania. Simple as this. When you got Keith Braxton, Isaiah Blackman, this is a team that's been challenged in the non-conference. This is a team that is figured to finish in the top 3 of this conference. And Bryant They've been good to our bankroll. They've surprised some teams in the non-conference. But I think today against a familiar foe in conference basketball, you got to start looking at who is the shaker and who is the baker. And the shaker in this game for me is St. Francis. The baker is going to be Bryant. So I'm on St. Francis. I got them at +2, and that's how I'm looking at it.
All right, and your St. Francis look is not official at this point, right?
It's not official.
Okay, perfect.
Official.
I got 7 plays for Max, and I've got them all listed. Let's line shop for Max right now with St. Francis. Here we go. Also, keep an eye on what David H. is on at all times, and he's on Hofstra and Northeastern. I'm going to copy and paste that right now. Copy and paster. Okay, all right, my going a little slow here, my internet for some reason. So why don't we just move on to another look, as this is going a little slower than I would like it to. Max, you are on USC Upstate at +6.5 and -105. Can you break that game down for us?
Yeah, this is a spot where you gotta take note of what USC Upstate's been doing. Everett Hammond, he's been putting in high volume scoring performances. Brandon Martin's really coming into his own. I really like the emergence of freshman Carter Janarigan. I think that he's going to be big tonight, and I think that as long as you get consistent scoring from the role players on this team, it allows Martin and Hammond to really take control. I think that this is a misline game. I think that this is an overreaction to Charleston Southern beating Mizzou. Well, there's a lot of aspects of that game that was the reason why they won. And with Philandros Fleming Jr. and Don Charles Schuler, I'm just not content or feeling good about putting my money on them laying 6.5 points. They're not a team that I think that should be laying this type of number. I think USC Upstate doesn't win the game, but I do think that they keep it within 2 possessions.
All right, we've got more plays of the day coming in. Illinois, Arkansas State +3, Oregon State first half +1. At Ben Sports 24/7, leaning to Illinois +11, LaSalle +9.5, and USC -3.5. I am feverishly writing down all of these of everybody's action, and I am tailing Max on St. Joseph at +12.5 at -105. All right, let's talk about some of these afternoon games, and then we have questions that have come in, and we've got to work very quickly here. We'll go over Max's plays. Columbia, Maine opening up at +8. They're now at +7. Was there a move to make there?
Yeah, the only move that I was looking to make on that, which I did make, was the under. I bet under 132. I'm not going to make it official for the show. It's just a spot where I think that Columbia, with their pace, with their offense that they run versus Maine's efficiency and Maine's tempo, I think that both these guys struggle to get to 60. I think that one gets to 60 and one doesn't. So under 132 was the play that I made, but I'm not going to make it official for the show.
And then there's 2 more afternoon games before the 7 o'clock tip-offs, that being Liberty, Florida Gulf Coast. Liberty opening up at -13. There's 13.5. Pinnacle's moved it to 14. This very low total has gone from 118 down to 117.5 or 117 at Pinnacle. Liberty, Florida Gulf Coast, the move to make?
Yeah, Jim, I'm on Liberty over 117. It's an official play -112.
Yeah.
Simple as this. I think that Liberty is going to be able to score 70 points. I think that I think that Florida Gulf Coast can at least get to 50. I don't think that this is going to be a 60 to 50 game. So I think it's going to sneak over. I think we're going to see a dominant performance from Liberty. I expect a 20-point win. They're coming off a bad loss against LSU where they were in the game and they let it go because of shooting, turnovers, and bad passing. I think that they're going to shore that up. I think we're going to see solid offensive production. I think that the 3-point shot's going to drop. This is a team that they're familiar against. This is a team that they have matchup advantages all throughout the lineup. And if Giorgio Pacho-Ortiz comes through with the 3-point shot and runs the point guard position properly, I think that we're getting over this 117.
Trying to creep over that very low total, 117, Liberty Gulf Coast. And then the final game, it pops off at 6:30. It's James Madison, NC Wilmington. Madison opening up at -3. That's where they stand. This total opened at 153. It's now at 154. Max, you making a move in James Madison, NC Wilmington?
I've made a move. I'm not going to make it official, but I'll let you guys know. I'm on James Madison. This is why I look at it. I look at James Madison with Dwight Wilson, in the front court. I think that he makes a big difference on defensive and on rebounding aspects. I think that when you have Darius Banks and Matt Lewis offensively, you have guys that can make shots at different levels. And I think that with UNC Wilmington, yeah, they played tough against Drexel on the road. I think that they're taking a step up in competition within the conference. I think that without having Kai Tays, their point guard in the lineup, who went back to Asia, I think that's a big loss. I think that they're going to have trouble at the point guard spot. In this particular matchup, I see James Madison being able to harness that, force some turnovers from that position, and be able to get at least a 3 or 4 point win.
Sorry, some funny stuff coming in from the chat, Max. I like it, but Max does not make it official with James Madison. All right, now let's take another look at what Max is on, and let's grab it and break them down. We have questions coming in too. We got to be fast, and Max is going to want to make additions. We have Lehigh Valley is Max's look at plus 5.5 at minus 105. With 73 games on the card, I'm going to have to use my finder key to find these games. There's just too much action here. Lehigh up against Navy. Navy opening up at minus 5.5, now down to 4.5. Lehigh taking money. This total opened up at 124, now at 125. Max, why are you on Lehigh Valley?
Yeah, this is a Lehigh team that obviously lost a lot of firepower, but I do think against Navy, this is a team that they have some advantages in. With Jordan Cohen running the point guard spot and James Karnick in the front court, I think you have scoring at different levels. I think that you've had a Lehigh team that's challenged themselves in the non-conference. Statistically, they match up quite well versus Navy. I would have expected this game to be in the 1.5 to 2.5 point range. When I saw 5.5, it was an instant bet. I think Lehigh wins this game at the free throw line because let's not forget, Navy has problems at the free throw line. And as long as Lehigh doesn't get exposed too much on defensive glass rebounding, on the defensive glass, I think that they're going to be able to maybe win this game outright. So I take the better free throw shooting team. I take the team that has a 3-point shooter that has not shot the ball well this season, but I do think in a familiar foe, against a familiar foe, in a familiar environment, I think that they find their shooting stroke again.
There we have it. Lehigh being backed at plus 5.5 for Max. You can't get it at 5.5 anymore. That's why you got to follow Max on Twitter. Next spot up, North Florida. North Florida's been very good to us this year, Max. Going up against Kennesaw State. North Florida opening up at minus 9, now 9 or 9.5. We've only taken North Florida as giant dogs. I see you taking them here as a big favorite. Talk to me about why.
Yeah, it's more play against Kennesaw State. I don't believe in Kennesaw State. I think they're a fraud. I think that against this North Florida team, they can get exposed at the 3-point line. This is where they struggle to play defense. Astronomically, they're 343rd in the country when it comes to 3-point defense, and I think that's North Florida's bread and butter. I think that when you look at North Florida, they have the nice offensive pieces. Garrett Sams is my most important guy. I think that he plays a critical role offensively, but it's going to come down to Wahid Aminu. If he can stay on the floor, if he can get on the glass, if he can give you some low post scoring, it opens up the floor for Carter Henrickson. There's just too many weapons on this North Florida team. I expect them to smack Terrell Burden in the mouth, take Tyler Hooker, take him under a bridge, and sell him for frickin' nickels and dimes.
Okay, yes. That was a new one, Max. That was a new one. Okay, let's keep going over the looks on Max's card right now. The next look we have, so far, he's doubled up on Stephen F. Austin. He's on USC, Upstate plus 6.5, Lehigh plus 5.5. I tailed Lehigh. I got plus 5 minus 111. His last 5 on the boards available at Pinnacle. He's on North Florida minus 9. He's on the over in the Liberty game at 117. Another over you are on, Max, is this Oral Roberts over. Let's find it here on, I should have just pressed the search key here with 73 games on the card. Oral Roberts, show me your face. Oh, there we go, against South Dakota State. Now this market move has gone against you, Max. Opened at 150, and it's now at Pinnacle. It's now down to one. Oh, wow, you got it at 145.5. So you must have got it at its very bottom, and now it's coming back up. Let's take a look at what this market move has done on totals. Wow, it dropped. It dropped down to 145 this morning at 7 a.m., and that's when Max got on it. So there was a 4-point drop at Pinnacle, at 7 a.m. and Max hammered it, and now it's all the way back to 148. Great job, Max, getting this total at its very, very bottom number. Why are you on the over here?
Oh, Jim, I didn't get it. I didn't get it at Pinnacle. But with this over, Jim, this is a simple spot for me. I know about Oral Roberts. They want to get up and down. They want to score the basketball. They got the good guard play to do so. And I think against South Dakota State, listen, they're not the same team from last year. They don't have the same kind of offensive firepower, but they do have efficiency. I think that with David Wingett, he's going to be really important for South Dakota State and for this over. He's probably the most underrated three-point shooter on South Dakota State's roster, and I think that's going to be very important for him to get out. I think with Doug Wilson down low and out on the three-point line, that's also key. He's going to open up the line. He's going to open up the lane for penetration, and I think that's going to be key in getting the over. When you look at Oral Roberts, it's all about DeAndre Burns. If DeAndre Burns can get off, Sam Kearns can re-find his three-point shooting stroke. I think that we're going to be able to get over this. This is a game where I would have had it in the 151 to 153 range, and when I watch the lines, which I do for many hours every day, you see the movement happening, you wait, you refresh, and then you get on the best number. That's what I was able to do this time.
And you did a very, very good job at it. All right, looking through other looks, you're on UMKC here. You're on Kansas City. I'm so many games. I'm struggling trying to find it. Can you break down this UMKC spot?
Yeah, this is a spot where I think that the home team is just being undervalued and just mislined. I think that with UMKC, I think that you have good size, you have a good home court advantage, you have a great home court play. We saw how they played against Toledo when Toledo came into their building. I don't want to put too much into that, but my numbers favor UMKC. My numbers like them up until 6.5. So seeing this number go down definitely gives me some trepidation, but I've been fading a lot of line movements on spreads, and they've been working out fine. So I'm pretty content with the fact that I got a better number than I thought I was going to and a better number than on the opener. So I'll take that 3 all day.
UMKC -3 at -115. His next look is St. Joseph at +12.5, and we've already broken that down as well. Okay, Max, additions, and let's fire at them very, very quickly.
Okay, so my issue is a lot of these lines have moved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just run through and just see what I can add on that hasn't moved a couple points, because I have a lot of movement there. So what I'm looking at first is UTSA +3.5. That's a spot where I think that UTSA can win the game outright. Offensive weapons, and the difference for UTSA is the fact that they have another Italian point guard in the lineup taking care of business, and that's the big thing. Eric Cumsbull, I probably pronounced his name wrong. He's from Verona. He is the difference. They lost their first 5 games with Keaton Wall starting at the point guard spot. Now he's there. They're back. They're rolling, and I think UTSA wins this game outright, but give me the +3.5.
+3.5 at -105. UTSA up against Florida Atlantic. Max, keep rolling.
Okay, so the next spot that I can give that hasn't moved a lot, Charlotte 49ers -2.5 against UAB at home. Listen, this is a Charlotte team that is playing Ron Sanchez style of defense. This is a team that can score the ball from the perimeter. We're seeing that, and I think tonight they're going to have a nice coming out party. I see a 2.5 at Pinnacle. That's the number that I got. That's the number you guys should get. If you can get better than -110 juice, jump on that shit ASAP.
There's a couple 2.5s here. Heritage has one as well, and that's at -105. Charlotte -105. Great pace, Max. Let's keep rolling.
Okay, so this is another spot that I have good edges when it comes to my numbers, but my brain is trying to talk me out of it. Arkansas State tonight +3. This is an Arkansas State team that has been good to you on the road, giving you a little bit of trouble at home, but it's more a play against UTA. When I look at Arkansas State, this is a team that has been making you money. If you've been betting Arkansas State, you could be up close to 10 units on their games. They do a good job of scoring from the field at 45%. They do a good job of limiting their opponents. I think rebounding is going to be key against this UTA team. I think they're up to the challenge tonight. I think the three-point shot is going to be the difference. And I think that their free throw percentage, while not ideal, I do think that it is isolated to some of the lesser members of the rotation. And I do think Arkansas State takes care of business tonight and at least covers the 3 points.
Arkansas State +3 at -110. Cash action bets also liking Charlotte. All right, let's keep rolling, Max. What's next?
All right, so let's go to a total. I'm going to go with UT Martin and Murray State over 146.5. This is a spot where the number has moved against me. I am a little worried that Murray State does get their type of pace in the game. But with UT Martin, from what I've watched of them and what my numbers are telling me, this is a spot that can get over and can get into the 155 to 158 range. So how I look at it is UT Martin can be efficient. They can run the tempo. I think Murray State can get drawn up into that kind of game. And I look for Tevin Brown and company to be able to put out a nice offensive performance, but I think that UT Martin does enough to get at least 65 points.
All right, we're taking the over in UT Martin. I'm going to line shop for you, Max. While I'm doing that, what's next?
Oregon State over 143.5. This is a spot where I just think that the numbers like this, I like it. From what I've seen from Oregon State, they have good low post scoring with Kaylor Kelly and Trey Tinkle. Ethan Thompson can get scoring out from the perimeter. I think that they do play at a fast enough tempo that there is going to be scoring, there is going to be fouls, there is going to be transition buckets. And with Oregon State and Utah, I think with Timmy Allen, you got a good guy that can really open up the floor for his teammates and get his own and get buckets close to the bucket. I like teams that score high percentage buckets, and these are two teams in my estimations, and based on their tempo, this number is very gettable, and at 143.5, it's something that I would want to put and make official for the show.
There's only one 143.5 on the boards at -120. Would you prefer 144 at -105?
Oh. Okay, yeah, I'll take the 144.
All right, Oregon State over.
It's not my strongest play, though.
144 at -105. All right, let's keep rolling, Max. What's next?
All right, so a lot of these have moved, so we're going to just move to the added board. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries.
All right, so we're going to go to this Holy Cross Loyola Maryland game. What have we seen from Patriot League games? Patriot League teams like to go over. Holy Cross is not playing the tempo that they were under Bill Carmody last year. Loyola Maryland loves to get out in transition, led by their main man, 20-plus point scorer a game, Andrew Kostecka. I think guys like Cam Spencer from the three-point line are going to be important. I think that Loyola Maryland wins this game by double digits. I think that they win this game by more than the number that's out there right now, but I do think that Holy Cross has shown me, and the numbers like it, that they can get to 70 points. I think that Loyola Maryland gets to 85. So 149 is a good number to me. I'll still take it, even though I got a little bit better number earlier. I got 148.5.
All right, let's get you that Holy Cross over right now. It opened at 148.5. There still is a 148.5 -110 at Intertops and UWager.
I'll take that then, Jim.
Over 148.5. We got to be very quick, Max, and I know that we have the play of the day too. And we got to put a bow on this. So if you want to fire off plays for your record, just fire them off and I'll write them down.
Okay, so Colgate and American over. I don't even know what number that I got. Hold on one sec. Shit.
No worries.
Okay, no. Cancel that. If I release it, I'll put it on my Twitter page. Okay, so the next play, Lafayette over 140.5 -110. I'm also taking Lafayette +3 full game. I'm also taking them +1.5. Actually, no. I'm gonna take them +1.5 -105 first half also. So I'm gonna triple up on Lafayette.
Okay, you're actually getting a 139.5 That's available at UWager. Over 139.5 at minus 110 for Lafayette. Let's go to first half and see what we are getting from Lafayette here. Here we go, Lafayette. Oh shit, that's totals. Here we go. Let's move over to spreads. First half. Okay, I'm gonna get you the best line you can get first half and second half for Lafayette. What else you want?
I'm gonna take Robert Morris first half and full game.
Okay, you know what? We're not going to have time to do the appropriate line shopping, so I'm going to have to do it right after the show. So Lafayette, first half, full game. Robert Morris, first half, full game. Sounds great, Max. You want to keep throwing them at me?
No. Let's just go to the play of the day now. And if anything else, I'll have to just put it on the Twitter.
Sounds good. So going over everything, you know what? I'll do it right after the play of the day. Max, the play of the day, the first play of the day of 2020, Max. What is it, my friend?
Well, I'm hoping to improve on my play of the day. This is a spot where I think that my numbers like it, the eye test likes it, and the stats support it. So we're going to go Robert Morris, Central Connecticut State, under 137, minus 110. That's the spot. That's the play of the day. We're going to go with an under. There's going to be lots of unders and lots of dogs coming up in conference season. So let's get it done. Central Connecticut State, under 137, minus 110, Jim.
Robert Morris under 137 minus 110 is the play of the day. Robert Morris, I'm going to copy and paste that here for me because I will be jumping on the play of the day. It looks like I've got 5 games now of action. I'm going to tail Max on 5 plays, 4 including the play of the day. St. Joseph plus 12.5, Lehigh plus 5, Charlotte minus 2.5, Arkansas State plus 3, and then I'm on the under 137 for Robert Morris. Going over all of Max's plays right now. Stephen F. Austin, double up, minus 10.5 and minus 11. USC Upstate plus 6.5. Lehigh plus 5.5. North Florida minus 9. Liberty over 117. UMKC minus 3. Oral Roberts over 145.5. St. Joseph plus 12.5. UTSA plus 3.5. Charlotte minus 2.5. Arkansas State plus 3. UT Martin over. I've got to get that number. Oregon State over 144 minus 105. Holy Cross over 148.5 minus 110. Lafayette over 139.5 minus 110. And then I'm going to line shop for him right when the show's over for Lafayette first half full game. And Robert Morris first half full game. That is Max's action with the play of the day. Robert Morris under 137 minus 110. Max, I'll be keeping an eye on your Twitter. Feel free. This is a huge card, so feel free to make anything official that you would like. I'll be keeping an eye on it all day. And thank you, my friend. Follow him on Twitter at MaxwellSmart420. Get ahead of these line moves. And Max, thank you for sharing your hard work and insights with us. Happy New Year, my friend. You have any words, any final words for these great cappers in the chat and those watching at home?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the show, supporting me, supporting Jim, supporting SBR. We're here to make money together. We're going to do that all 2020. We're going to serve that soup icy cold, boys and girls. That's what we do here on this show. And you know what? Leche a los bookmakers, because that's what we do every day. Jimmy taught us that. We're going to keep on doing it in 2020.
Max, if you're going to give us a little leche, I'm going to have to see some handwork there. I'm going to have to see some more effort, Maxie. Let's give us another leche. First leche 2020 coming from Maxwell Smart.
Leche a los bookmakers.
I love it. Just sec, Rafa, quickly. I know we've gone long, but just want to quickly go over NHL for me. I added the over 6 at plus 105 in Oilers Buffalo, but I'm on Lightning minus 1. That's my favorite play on the card. I bet that last night, so at this number, I wouldn't say it's quite. I'd like it quite as much as I did. I'm on the Sharks plus 165. Look, I don't care that the Penguins went 10-2 in December. I don't see how they can keep doing it. You take Gensel and Crosby out of the lineup, well, I'm going to fade it. And I can understand Babano not wanting it, but I'm going to make a move. And then I'm on the Panthers minus 1. Panthers minus 1. So I have a lean towards the Coyotes. I'm going to take a bit of time, but I think I may make that move. I may. And I have some interest in the Blackhawks Canucks over 6. Total opened up at 6.5. Now it's 6. I just need more time. And I'm going to take more time on this NBA card, too. Right now, the only move I'm on is the Brooklyn Nets plus 8. That's all I'm on, Brooklyn Nets +8 is the only basketball move I'm on. Thank you guys so much. Quickly, the barbecue sauce titty parlay. Liverpool moneyline, Swansea moneyline, Liverpool moneyline, Sevilla moneyline. There you have that. And then we have some big looks on this card from our cappers. Illwise on Arkansas State +3, Oregon State first half. The Spidey play today, Islanders puck line. Teddy covers, that's our Babano's on St. Louis +3.5 in Illinois, +11 in college basketball. NCAA football, he's on Tennessee, Indiana over. Those are looks. Astute Chaos is on the Toronto, Miami first half over 111. He's also on Brooklyn, Dallas first half under 107. Dan Kelly's on first half Sacramento Kings -2. Teddy covers in basketball's on Washington -7.5 and Murray State. David H is on Hofstra and Northeastern first half, and we just went over all of Max's action. We have no show without these great cappers on the chat. We do get to pick what time our show will be on moving forward, so I'll be asking you guys about that. Thank you all, you guys. Alex Ramirez, Moses Saucedo, Doug Reed, Ernesto Fidalgo says, what is the Charlotte play for Max? Max is on Charlotte -2.5, -105. I am on it as well, -2.5, -105. And also, our cash action bets jumped on it as well. Well, much love to all of you guys. Doug Reed, Perfect Rotation, Prince of the City, Dav Fenn, Illwise, Paco Healy, Mr. Gokster, Guru Sports by Eric Rosas. All you guys, much love. And how can I compete with Max's leche? I can't. So I'll go right to the cow on this one and go right to the cow's udder. Let's have a big start to 2020.
Leche, a los bookmakers.